Yeah, it also supports 4-player local co-op, so we can play with Parsec.
Ooh, that's cool. If Mario Golf can't do it, PGA Tour's got your back. Hey, everybody, we're about to start Le Podcast. I'm gonna take a. If you guys want to like grab a water or anything, if you need to,
I'm set.
I'm set as well. Pre-show puff. And one more sample of room noise. I'm just kidding. We don't do that anymore. All right. Let's do this. It is Saturday, August 29th, 2020, and you are listening to the Irrational Passions podcast. I am Alex O'Neill, your podcasting host for this podcasting party. And joining me, as always, are Mr. Scott Guthier.
Hello.
And Mr. Tony Horvath.
Hey.
Hey. We are down one Brian Nabeshin Jackson tonight. Unfortunately, he could not be with us. Something came up on sudden notice. But if you've been catching our Sunday streams where we hang out and play games together, did not have one this last week. But he should be here tomorrow, the day after we're recording this, for this week's. So don't worry, you won't be without your Brian Nabeshin Jackson fix for a while. Welcome. Rational Passions podcast, video game podcast, live Saturday nights every week, 7 p.m. Eastern Time. Don't know why I said it like that. Just like today, we are on schedule. Everything going according to plan so far. For a good show, just got some video games to talk about. Not a lot happened this week, so there's not too much to talk about. But maybe some games were announced, some stuff on our radar. So a lot of stuff started coming out this week. I think we're now in kind of more of an onslaught of video games being released, for some of us at least. So we got some good games to talk about tonight. Just a little quick housekeeping over on irrationalpassions.com. I heard it's a video games website. There's stuff posted there. A couple of things went up. Namely, there's a couple of things coming, but we're sitting down to talk about Controls DLC, which I'm going to talk about tonight a little bit. There was a piece about Mortal Shell that went up, and Nabeshin and I sat down and had a conversation about first-party exclusives and kind of like throughout this generation, the approach to exclusives, and it turned into a very long dunking session on Sony first-party games.
Nice.
Yeah, and you know what? Like, I'll be totally frank. There are some opinions that I like to put out here. And some I don't. Some are spoilers, some are not. Some are like more negative than I think I like to be on this show, just because depending on how the conversation's going, I don't know if I want to lean that much into it. But like, because I'm really happy with how this podcast came out. It's long, but I try and be fair. I try and like be honest to how I feel about like I do have like a lot of critiques, especially of like God of War, Last of Us Part 2, even Horizon Zero Dawn, Ghost of Tsushima, like a lot of what Sony's been doing lately. And it's tough to talk about those games online because people are really shitty when you're critical of them. And it's a big bummer, as with many video games, and it's not a problem to just Sony games, but I feel like...
Just get me to do it.
Yeah, exactly. Nabeshin made the joke on Twitter. I don't know, you probably didn't see, Scott, but Nabeshin said, forward all hate mail about this episode to Scott Guthier, which I thought was funny.
Nice. That's a throwback.
Yeah, it is a good throwback. But yeah, like, it's one of those things where we were both kind of more comfortable just letting rip, and we got some stuff out. It's a thorough conversation, but worth checking out. And then, yeah, a couple other stuff coming up this week, and we're streaming games tomorrow together. We'll play. It sounds like we're gonna try and play some Spelunky tomorrow, which I'm pretty excited about. And yeah, Spelunky 2 is coming soon. We got to play that like ASAP as soon as it's out. I guess no, it's not coming to Steam right away. It's gonna probably be a couple weeks afterwards. So soon after it comes out.
I'm willing to wait a couple weeks.
Yeah, they said they would get it up as soon as possible after the PS4 launch. So I think it'll still be this year for sure. But that's it. That's it for housekeeping. Tons of fun stuff, fun conversations. Rational Passions Presents is where you can listen to that podcast with Nabeshin and I. But you can also just go to rationalpassions.com. Now we're back. Let's talk about video games. Tony, you weren't here last week, man.
It's not.
But I assume at some point last week you played video games, and I know at some point this week you played some video games. So what you been playing?
Okay, so I played. Let's see, last week. I played some League of Legends as per usual.
Are you still playing Rise in that game? Has anyone else caught your fancy?
New champ came out that I've been playing a
Oh?
lot, but mostly I just play. Well, mostly I don't get to play mid, because
Yeah.
I queue as mid, secondary, jungle, and jungle's the least played role pretty much. It's like tied for the least played role, and mid's the most played role.
Yeah.
So the game very often is like, you know what, this guy could play jungle. Let's just put him in jungle. So most of the time I'm playing that. And then if like people invite me to play, most of the time like no one wants to jungle, and they're like, you got to the rank that you're at playing jungle. Let's just have this guy play jungle so he carries us. I'm like, but I don't want to.
Yeah, I totally get that. I mean, I don't empathize because I never carry anyone in any video game, but I understand where you're coming from with that. Yeah.
What are you talking about? You're about to carry some Spelunky.
Yeah, it's true.
No, that's me. It's me. I'm doing it.
Listen. We'll tag team it.
No, I mean I'm guaranteed to be pretty rusty at Spelunky. So
Yeah, I've been keeping my
I've
wheels
never been
greased.
good.
I've been playing like every week to get ready for 2. So
intensive training.
yeah, I'm like so ready for it.
Yeah, but a new sword guy came out.
Oh hell yeah!
He's really flashy and stylish, kind of like an assassin type character, who's like, if he's doing well, it looks like it's so effortless and like style points that like he can do the things that he can do. But if he's behind, it's such a struggle.
Oh, gotcha.
Because he like makes his own damage windows, and if you don't make enough damage in that window, you're like totally useless.
Damn.
But the way that his damage window works is he like jumps forward, does some damage, and then activates the ability again to basically return to where he started. So you can kind of like, use that ability, go under someone's tower, annihilate them, and then just pop right back out. That's
cool.
what I mean by style points. You're like, nothing personal, kid, and then get out of there.
Yeah, totally. That's cool.
But if you are behind and you're the one who's being attacked, right, that's not an escape. So like, you could use it to make some distance, but you got to go back to the original point. And if you don't do enough damage while you're in there, it's a bad news. So he's fun, but he's a new champion, right? At least he has been. So he's kind of in the phase where everybody either picks or bans him immediately. So in the rare games that I actually get to play mid, I don't get to play him often.
Oh yeah.
So
that's cool. I hadn't heard about any new champions. So it's cool to hear about him.
Yeah, but mostly it's been League, and then I found out about halfway through last week that Microsoft Flight Simulator 2020 is free with Xbox Game Pass on PC.
Yep.
So I installed that, and I've been messing around with some airplanes.
Nice. I was hoping one of you guys would.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. It's just it makes you want to get one of those like yoke controllers,
like the full flight stick Armada setup.
Yeah. Because
totally.
the way that the controls are, it's like you use with mouse and keyboard, you use the numpad like 4 and 6 to adjust, to turn the plane. And it's like, it's not smooth like you think it would be.
Yeah.
And I think it makes sense that they've got it that way because there's not you're not holding a stick, right? So you can't tell how far you have turned.
Yeah.
So I think it's like, it's set up in like rigid steps. So if you press 6 on the numpad, you turn to the right like a certain amount, and you can't really get less than that.
Oh yeah, I see.
So you can only spam 6 like 6 times, and I think it makes sense because at least the rationale that I give it is that they want you to be able to then press 4 6 times to go back to the center.
Yeah.
So like if you press it once one way, you press it once the other way, and it's going to be consistent. But then that all goes out the window if you ever hold one of the buttons.
Yeah.
Because hold just smoothly turns it, and you're like, oh, what?
Yeah, shit. I don't know how many degrees this is.
Yeah, it's fun. Like the controls are weird, but it uses like every key on the keyboard. So it makes sense that the controls are sort of weird. Like to increase the thrust is F4.
Oh wow.
Which is like, you'd think it'd be like W or something.
Yeah, that's like a pretty deep into the keyboard layout. F4 is.
Yeah, like on F4 F4, and then like control numpad 4 is to like look out the left window.
Nice.
Stuff like that. It's crazy. Yeah, there's a lot of and then like randomly like the gear is B. I think it might be G. It would make more sense if it was G, but I think it's B to raise and lower the landing gear. So there's just a lot of weird stuff. And when you first start it, like it's like increased throttle is not bound in a way that the game can tell you, even though it's like I said, it's on F4. So you load in and the game's like, okay, disengage the parking brake by pressing Control numpad period. I'm like, okay, let's do that.
Wow.
And then next, because it's going to just put you in a plane ready to take off, right? And it's like, okay, now press the increase thrust button to increase thrust. And I'm like, wait a minute. I don't have a button on a key on my keyboard that says increase thrust.
Yeah.
What do you mean? You know, so I had to go into controls immediately and find out that it was F4. So I come back out, press and hold F4, and you start rolling down the runway. And it's like, okay, now press numpad 8 to pitch up, and and then you'll take off, right? And I'm like, but see, here's the thing. That's wrong.
Yeah.
You press numpad 2 to pitch up.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, there was some weird learning curve issues, but it was a lot of fun to fly around a bit. It's very realistic.
Yeah.
Microsoft Flight Simulator 2020. It takes like Google Maps data to put a real map that you're flying over, so you could technically like fly to your own house and it would be there.
Yeah. It's cool seeing like the autofill stuff that it will do for the stuff it doesn't have. Like it makes everything weird warehouse buildings. It's pretty cool.
Right. Yeah, there was a lot of that in the previous one that they did, where it was kind of like, oh, urban area, let's put the urban tiles here.
Yes.
Yeah, this one, it also takes like current weather data. So if it is raining and you're flying over your house, it will be raining in the game.
That's cool.
And it takes current flight data as well. So current actual flights flying in the real world are also flying in the game.
Whoa.
So, yeah, it's pretty neat. And it also has like every runway and everything at every airport, so I can take off from BWI near us and fly directly to McClellan Airport in Las Vegas if I want, which is something that I have done many times.
Yeah.
Can you just crash into those airplanes?
You can, but there's no collision between other aircraft.
Yeah, you just boop.
If you collide, the screen just kind of fades to black as if you had crashed, and says like you damaged your landing gear, you damaged the plane.
You get the bad end.
But it pretends that you did hit them.
Yeah. But you
so I can be okay.
Yeah, in multiplayer, you don't like break other people's aircraft when that happens. And I'm not even sure if because I haven't played any multiplayer, but I'm not sure that if you hit another plane that like in multiplayer that you would crash. I think that specifically in multiplayer, I'm pretty sure it would just ignore it.
There's multiplayer for it?
Oh yeah.
Oh wow, that's actually really cool.
Yeah, you can get on a server with like 50 planes, and everybody's taking off from the San Francisco airport because they want to fly under the Golden Gate Bridge.
Of course.
But unless they patched it in over the past week, you currently cannot fly under the Golden Gate Bridge because it assumes that you have hit the bridge if you go near it.
Oh yeah, that makes sense.
So yeah, people were like flying prop planes out there to try and fly under the Golden Gate Bridge, and then just they just crashed.
Is it one of those things like if you say you get up and leave BWI and fly to Las Vegas, will it like take you that amount of time?
Yeah, it'll take about 5.5 hours.
Really? Like in game?
Yeah.
That's honestly kind of cool.
Here's the thing, right?
I respect that.
It's technically not a game.
Yeah.
It's a simulator.
It's a flight simulator. That's what I want.
And they will. It's built so that you can take it and apply it to real world situations. So while it's not a substitute for learning how to fly, it will definitely teach you a lot about flying.
Yeah.
Especially if you have the right equipment for it to be more like a real world model.
Yeah.
So it's cool. It's definitely super neat. And I think I'm thinking about it, man. I think I might get some of that stuff. I don't know. I have the right setup for that game to work.
I worry that this would be that investment that you like use once and never. I mean, to be fair, you got the PS4 for Persona and it was worth it. So maybe this will be too. I don't know.
I don't know if Microsoft Flight Simulator is the best game ever made.
I don't know either, man. But you know what? You're only gonna find out one way.
True. Yeah, and the game is built because Microsoft Flight Simulator, I think it was X, was the one that came out before this. Came out like 2009.
Yeah.
Or something. So it's been a long time. This one they built to be future proof ish because the graphics are really really good, to a point where they exceed the capabilities of even like my PC. Can't run it on ultra like at all.
Yeah.
And it's built so that every upgrade you get is basically like a mini upgrade to the game,
Cool.
And as technology becomes cheaper and more available, you're able to kick up those settings more and more, and the game will look better and continue to be modern.
That's cool. Yeah. I mean, when they announced this, I think it was either last year or 2 years ago. It was
last year.
It was such a cool thing of like, it was random. It's a very PC game, and Microsoft, does the split most of the time, and it's just a cool thing. I'm happy exists,
Yeah, it's super cool, and man, it looks good.
Yeah, it looks real good.
Even me running it on like medium to medium low settings just so I can control consistently get 60 frames.
Yeah, I'm sure it looks bonkers still.
It looks great.
Yeah.
So that's super cool. Scott and I were messing around with it last week. And we made like a flight from BWI to like the nearest airport south of BWI, whatever that is. And we couldn't figure out, there was this beeping in the in the cockpit of the plane.
Oh, God.
And we couldn't figure out what
like
the hell the
literally
beeping was.
my nightmare.
So,
Evan says, "Hey, I can fly you in a plane. I'm a pilot now." And there's the beeping in the pilot. Like, what is going on?
it's like a 55-minute flight that I flew the entire way. I first got it in the air and got it so that it could fly, and then I kicked on autopilot so that it wouldn't crash, and then just spent 25 minutes looking at every single button in the cockpit trying to figure out what the fuck was making that beeping, because there were no alerts, nothing was going on, and the beeping had been there since I first loaded into the plane, so who knows what that was. The only reason why I stopped playing it after the first day was because there's some issue. It might be with my computer or something, or just the way that my controls are set up, but every time I pause the game, if I'm airborne in a plane, as soon as I unpause the game, I lose all control of the aircraft and it flies around wildly.
That's kind of
it's immediate.
Yeah.
Scott has seen it, right? See, I'm just perfectly level flying, right, at normal speed, autopilot engaged. So I'm looking around the cockpit, right, and then I have to Scott, I gotta Google this. I gotta know what this fucking beeping is. So I pause the game and Alt tab out so I can look up this beeping. No information because the game has just come out, and obviously everyone else who's playing this is knows some shit about aircraft that I don't.
Yeah.
So I come back in, press the escape button to unpause, and I'm immediately going into the ground, flying around, spinning out for 5 minutes, trying to get the thing back level, and I eventually fall into the water. So, yeah, it was. I just can't ever pause. You can't pause real life. So,
amazing.
5.5 hour flight better be there the whole time.
Yeah, the pilot better be on top of it.
Yeah, I don't have a co-pilot, so can't even.
Scott's
can't
my
do
co-pilot.
So much as,
actually,
scratch your balls.
We should get
yeah, Scott, take control.
We should get a bumper sticker, Rational Passions bumper sticker that just says Scott's my co-pilot.
Well, I was thinking about it, right?
Maybe I could Parsec be your co-pilot.
Yeah, it's true. It's got the Parsec symbol. It's like a contract.
True. But I was thinking about how long is this podcast usually? 2.5 hours? What if I just find a flight that is 2.5 hours?
Yeah, see if you can fly and land something throughout the podcast.
Exactly. And people can just watch a plane fly while we talk about video games.
Yeah. You come over the intercom. We're coming in for a smooth landing. Weather is clear, dude, 95 degrees in Los Angeles. I
legitimately had that thought, and then I was like, you know what? I bet somewhere out there someone is doing this shit where
absolutely
they are a pilot of a plane, right? And they just have people come into their Discord and they sit in the plane. Yeah, exactly. I bet someone's doing that somewhere. If not, someone should probably do that.
Yeah,
it seems like a good idea.
That seems like a really great idea. I imagine someone is just living out their dream of being the kind of funny flight attendant.
What I'm saying, man.
In Microsoft Flight Simulator, somewhere on Twitch.
Yeah, and people can people can donate $1 extra for first class, and they get the farther up the Discord channels.
Yeah, someone sends them a
maybe there's a little bit more room in the Discord channel.
someone sends them a Discord message of a really nice meal instead of really shitty one.
They get a slightly crisper gif of the peanuts.
A better gif, yeah. I think we've got an idea.
Yeah, legitimately, I thought about this for 4 hours last week. I was just I wonder if someone's doing that.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Flight Simulator is pretty neat. That was a cool thing.
That's cool.
I still have it. It's it's a big game too. It's 120 gigs.
Yeah. A lot of planet
Yeah, I still got to
textures, you
install.
know?
Yeah, it's really nice to play games like that that actually take advantage of like the super wide setup that I have.
Oh, totally. Yeah, you just
So
got
I
that.
get like that big field of view and everything. So
Yeah.
but that was most of last week, I think. Nothing too standoutish other than one game I'll get to later. But then this week, I've been watching a lot of Twitch streams. Obviously, it's like all I do is watch Twitch streams and play video games.
Hey, man, I get it.
And I've been watching one of the streamers who I picked up PGA Tour 2K21, which is a professional golf game. And I was like, for the first couple days that he was playing it, it was hilarious because he's really bad. And the announcers in the game will tear into you if you are bad. So we're just like, the entire chat is just like laughing so hard as he's like super frustrated that he can't play the game. And then like 3 days later, I ended up picking it up and I've been playing it. Like, I'm hopelessly addicted to it for
Bad like how I did, kind of bad.
No, like he's really bad.
Like worse than I did.
Yeah.
Oh gee, like I was a +8, Alex.
Okay, yeah.
I got one birdie.
Okay.
Everything else is like 1 over par.
Yeah, it sounds like me.
Yeah. He got like the first game he played, he went like +30 or something.
Oh, brutal.
Oh,
That's brutal.
But it's so funny.
Yeah, I bet it's pretty funny.
It's super funny. And so there's a lot of nuance to why like his stream is good. But and a lot of inside kind of stuff if you watch him. But yeah, so I was watching him. The game looked like it was all right. And then I was like, you know what? I'll give it a shot. And like I said, since I started playing it, it's just engaging enough that it's really fun for me to play while doing something else. You know?
Yes, I do know.
So like I'll watch a Twitch stream, and while that's happening, I'll just be, tossing down 18 holes, and it's got this career mode, right? So those are like you start at like the like basically pre-professional school tournament or whatever, and you go from there. You build a career up to winning the PGA Tour. So those games are like more serious, and you're playing against AI, who like will make who will play the course at the same time as you.
Cool.
So when I'm like I'll just play like regular courses, and there's also a pretty robust course designer online, so that people are like in the game, so people can make and upload courses online. So there's just hundreds of courses to play. So I never have to play the same course over and over again if I don't want to, or I can practice if I want to on the same course. And there's just tons of choice. So I'll just pick a random course and play that while I'm doing something else. And then when I like want to sit down and like focus up and play a game, I'll go into the next tournament of my career,
Cool.
And so far I think I've placed in the top 8 in all of the games, and I've won 4 of them out of the like 9 games that I played in the career mode. So I just got promoted onto the PGA Tour, so I have to play through that whole tour season and then try and get to the championship, which would be like the winning the game kind of thing.
Mm-hmm. Well, did you expect, like, watching this dude play this game, that you were gonna like fall in love with this game?
Nope. That's why it took me like 4 days of watching it to buy it.
Yeah, I'm sure. That's cool though. I'm glad it clicked with you.
Yeah, but it just seemed like it would be fun, and it has been. So
yeah.
It's weird. It's just golf, But
Yeah,
I think it's done very well.
I'm into that.
It's done very well, and it's rewarding, and it also rewards you for having skill at it in a way that a lot of previous golf games haven't let you do. There's actually like timing and directional input that you have for every swing that you do. So not only are you like looking at the wind and the direction of what the terrain is and be like, I want my shot to go here, and then pressing a button to make it go there. You actually have to make the swings yourself, and you can kind of configure how forgiving that is. And as your skill improves, you can like make the margin of error that you potentially have smaller, so you have to make better shots.
Yeah,
stuff like that. So it's fun. It's a lot of fun.
Cool. That's like it was such a blindsided surprise for me that I'm stoked for you. That's cool.
Yeah. Also, it supports online and local co-op up to 4 players.
Mm-hmm.
So we can get people together, and Scott and I tried it over Parsec, and it worked pretty well.
Yeah.
Yeah. He has to, for more people to work, you have to virtualize controllers.
I'd have to figure that out somehow.
Yeah, Nabeshin got it figured out. It's probably not too hard.
Well, not quite.
Something else.
So his stuff does it for him. But we ran into this problem, and I ran into this problem several times. If I tried to take the controller out of my computer, but I plugged it into my laptop over there, and I tried to play any game on this computer with a controller on my laptop, it would not register that I had a controller plugged up to the main computer.
Got it. Interesting.
So you could not do. You can't just up and do that.
Yeah.
You have to find something that'll pretends that you have a controller input or a set of 4 controller inputs.
Got it.
Yeah, and Nabeshin stuff automatically has that.
Yeah.
Right. It forced me to play on mouse and keyboard because when Scott connected, it only saw his controller and not mine anymore.
Interesting.
So I wasn't sure what was going on there, but I'm pretty sure that is a problem that can be solved.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's fun. It's a lot of fun. So the only other game I've been playing this week, and mostly I was playing it. I got back into it last week. I don't think did I talk about it on the show 2 weeks ago? I don't know. But I picked up on the mobile game that I hadn't played for over a year, called Azure Lane.
Which, if you remember briefly mentioned this.
Yeah, I think it would last like 2 weeks ago was like the day after I started playing again.
Yes, yeah.
I've been playing consistently for now more than 2 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
It's pretty good.
Is this the Boat Girls one?
Yeah.
Yeah. See, I remember. I listen.
Yeah, the waifus are a flowing.
Is it is it like a lot of new boats?
You mean a floating?
Yeah, true, a floating, and a sinking ships.
Yeah, true.
Nah, if they sinking, you're doing something wrong.
Well, I mean, you're sinking the enemy ships, I assume. Is there like a bunch of new? Is there an expansion? Is there a bunch of new ships? Boats?
So the way that the game's business model works, right, is that the game is super generous compared to other gacha style games. So if you are playing, will get all ships when they come out. You will always get them, pretty much, if you are playing, It just takes a lot of grinding to make them max potential. But the game really wants you to get all the waifus and then buy skins for them. The only real thing that they actually sell through microtransactions really are skins. And the skins, well, let's just say they know their audience pretty well, if you know what I mean.
Sure.
Yeah,
they know you very well. It sounds like.
I mean, I'm in the target audience for this game, so.
Go ahead if you were gonna explain a little bit more, because I had a kind of tangential question.
Sure. So it's a lot of it's like 80% like waifu collector game and 20% grinding.
Yeah.
And all the grinding is kind of optional. You don't really have to do that if you don't want to.
So you were just in it for the collection of your favorite boat ladies?
I mean, I'm down to do grinding too. I played 7 Deadly Sins, which was a massive grind game.
Yeah, you played that for a long time.
So, yeah, and when I'm not, the reason why I picked this up 3 weeks ago was because I wanted something to do while consuming other media. And this was the original thing that filled that gap, and still is, unless I am doing the other thing, which is play PGA Tour 2K21. So yeah, it's a lot of fun. It's a lot of time-based stuff too. So if you don't want to hard engage with the grind, you just consistently are getting better over time, which lends itself to the 80% collection game. You don't really have to grind if you don't want to. You just pick some ship girls that you like, and over time you can make them really strong, so you're good to go. But if you want to grind stuff out, especially if you want to dig into some of more of the events that are currently going on, which right now is the 2nd anniversary of the game coming out in North America, so they've got these tons and tons of events going on currently. There's this crazy event where they have taken all time limited skins and returned them to the shop for 2 weeks, so everybody's freaking out because they have to buy all these skins now.
Yeah, but a lot of money's getting dropped right now.
Yeah, probably, because the way that their business model works is they'll have an event, there'll be exclusive ships for that event and skins for those ships, right? And then the event ends, and it's probably about a year until they rerun that event again. And so far there's only been 2 years, and they haven't done more than one rerun of anything, so we don't know after a rerun of an event is done if that ship's ever coming back, except for in special circumstances like this, where they've taken all previous non-collab skins, except for the ones that already returned to the shop in the past 2 months, and all of them are back. So these skins previously thought unattainable are now all back in the store.
Cool.
For 2 weeks. So
Gotta buy them all.
Yeah, that's funny because there's one other Twitch streamer I started watching a lot, and I talked about him last time I was on the show because he was playing Persona 4 Golden.
Yeah.
Um, and he between one of his Persona 4 Golden streams, this is at the same time as I came back to this game. And the reason why I came back to this game was because of him doing this. But one of his people in his chat were like, "Hey, please go check out Azure Lane," and they donated like some money for him to do it. So he had never seen it. So basically, he just logged in and looked at all the skins and reacted to all the skins, and was like, "All right, I don't need to see anything else in this game.
I'm
now."
sold.
Yeah,
You got me.
and then he went back to Persona. But yeah, so I was like, yeah, I'll start playing this game again. But anyway, so he finished Persona 4 Golden and is now playing Persona 5 the Royal.
Nice.
Did
he like Persona 4 by the end of it?
Oh yeah, he was really upset that no one had ever told him that it was made by the same company who made Catherine, which was like previously his favorite game.
Yeah.
He had just heard some bad things from like a select group of people and kind of wrote off the whole series as, unfortunately some people end up doing because their friends are ignorant.
Yeah, that's a bummer.
Yeah, but then even I pushed Greg to try Persona again.
Yeah, sure. Even
like I don't like the games that much.
But he would like them, right?
But like, yeah.
Totally.
I'm pretty sure it's very much so up Greg's alley.
Yeah.
Sometimes you just have some people in your life who are really bad at making good suggestions, or are just they'll take something they don't like and be like, you probably should never play that because I hate this thing.
What I will say, I like with the four of us, I feel like we all are pretty good at suggesting stuff to each other now. Like
True.
there was a rougher pat, like in the 200s maybe it was a little rougher, but at this point, like anytime like we actually go like, hey, you really should check this out, like we're pretty spot on with it.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's good, but like I understand you can't always have that too.
Right. So basically, an influencer that he was following suggested that he try it. So he ended up picking up Persona 4 Golden and really, really enjoying it.
Yeah.
And then we were all like in the chat, we're like, you will probably really like Persona 5 Royal.
Yeah.
It's real fucking
it's
good.
Really good.
So he had, he was basically like, hey, we're at X number of subs. If in the next 4 days we can get to X number of subs, I will go out and purchase everything you need, because he didn't have the console or a capture card or anything, so it was not possible for him to stream Persona 5 Royal. He's like, if we hit this goal, I will go out and get everything I need, and we'll stream the game right after I finish Persona 4 Golden. And he hit that sub goal within the next 10 minutes.
Yeah, I bet. People are hungry.
Yeah, so the next day he went out and got everything. And then I sent him a DM on Discord, and I linked my platinum in the game. I was like, listen, dude, a lot of people give you a lot of misinformation about Persona 4 Golden. And during a lot of the spoilers, like there's like when it gets to like heavy spoilers, we'll like put the chat in emote only mode.
Yeah.
So people can't spoil things.
That's funny.
They can't react to something like, I'm not going to just drop spoilers.
Yeah, like a person showing up or something. Yeah.
If a certain person at the very beginning of Persona 4 Golden shows up to do a thing that may or may not be relevant much later in the game.
Yeah.
We might, we'll put the chat so that people can't just immediately point that out and spoil stuff, So, and that ended up being a pretty common thing throughout Persona 4. And during those times, he would ask questions that people didn't really have information on. So I was just like, listen, bro, I have 100% of the trophies in Persona 5 The Royal. You might want to just mod me so I can help you out in those times.
Yeah, let me be there for you.
And he was like, done, immediately modded.
Oh, nice.
So then I've just watched his entire playthrough of Persona 5 so far.
Cool. Where's he
and it was funny. He is right at the beginning of he's like right at the door in Madarame's palace.
Got it.
So he just opened the door.
Oh, okay.
Right. Yeah. So, but yeah, like midterms just happened last night. It was really funny because he doesn't want to have to reload shit, So like for the quiz questions, we kind of help him out a little bit, and it's really funny because like a question will come up and be like, he'll just start like rambling, like I wonder what this could be, and at the same time the whole chat's like spamming the answer.
That's funny,
right? And then he's like, obviously it's this. So then midterms comes around, and then the first midterm in Persona 5 The Royals, like that really weird, like deep Japanese lore essay question.
Yes.
So he was like looking at the thing, and I would just like put like 1, 3, 2 for like which things he should put.
Yeah.
And then after the first day of exams, I was like, "All right, buddy, you're on your own from now on. Good luck." And he was like, "Bro, I don't like that."
Where'd you go, man? Where'd you go? I need you.
It's funny because like after all the questions, like we'll all spam the chat with like, "Good job, chat." Pepe laugh. Yeah, it's good shit, man. I haven't watched a small streamer in a long time, which relatively small streamer, where like the chat interaction is like off the charts compared to a bigger streamer.
Yeah, it's more
I'm used
intimate.
to big streams where it's just massive spam, and it's like hive mind spamming shit and spamming emotes and whatever.
Yeah.
It's cool to watch a streamer where there's like 100 people in chat.
Yeah, and you have that level
like,
of intimacy, and you get to know other people and him or whoever they are,
Yeah, like 100 people actively chatting is way different than 15,000.
Totally. And it's way more fun, I think.
Yeah, it's been a lot of fun because I just love the Persona games.
Yeah.
So being able to kind of be there for people experiencing it, this would be like the 5th person I've watched play a Persona game fresh.
Yeah.
And I love that shit. So that's been a lot of fun, and is basically the driving reason behind all of like the weird like side games that I've been playing over the past couple weeks.
No, I like that. Yeah, I've that's been a lot of the last 3 months of funk is like also I just want to watch Critical Role.
I get that. Yeah, I get that.
And so I'm kind of choosing games that either I've played before or I can kind of just play and pause and unpause the podcast while I'm playing it. So yeah, totally.
Just for anybody listening, I will drop the names of the 2 streamers who I've been watching. The big one's Moon, same one I've been watching for a really long time. And the small one, his name is Tectone. He's a really nice guy.
Tectone.
I started following him over like almost a year ago when I first started playing Arknights. He was the guy whose stream I was watching, and he's kind of now branching off of mobile games into variety. He's a really great guy. So
cool.
Check him out. He's like the one streamer on the platform I like wholeheartedly endorse.
Yeah, thank you for shouting him out. I'm sure he'll appreciate it too. Is that what you've been playing?
Yes, sir.
Scotty, man, video games.
Oh yeah, and Risk of Rain, but
Oh yeah, I played some Risk of Rain too this week.
Wrong console.
I know. I cannot play on PC right now, but soon.
Just build a PC, bro. It's time.
I know, it might be time.
I'll give you a deal on my PC and I'll build one. At this point.
Scott's just looking for a reason to build a new PC. That might not be a bad
it's
deal.
Not the worst idea.
Yeah. We'll table that for a moment and talk about video games for now. What you been playing, Scott?
Not too much new. I finished Bug Fables.
Yes, you talked about that last week.
I believe we talked about it last week. Okay. Yep. Last week I finished it, but I wasn't quite done.
Yeah, you were
with
cleaning up side quests. I was going to mention.
I was cleaning up side quests. I decided to drop the book one.
Yeah.
Where you gotta just
get all the shitty books.
It's just a long side quest where it's you go and you do other side quests, and sometimes there's books there, sometimes just out in the world, so on and so forth. And at this point, I was missing one.
Yeah.
And so it was that thing where it's like, oh, I'm missing one, but at the same time, it's I ran around and I did the 3 side quests that I was missing. The epilogue one for your one character was honestly you travel to a point and you get some dialogue.
Yeah.
Now after that, there's a couple of post game fights, which are very hard, especially when you have the hard metal on.
Yeah.
You don't really get anything for them, except for they're probably the easiest way to level up. But at that point, why?
Yeah, that's true of Paper Mario before it too.
Yeah, because at that point when you beat them and they're like, you did it. Game's done.
Yeah, game's done. What do you want?
Good job.
Now, what I want to ask here, Scott, for like when you're doing the side quest and you're like, all right, I'm going to complete this. I'm going to do everything that I'm aware is in this game and be done with it. Do you pull up a guide at that point, or are you just kind of wandering?
I guess you can try and pull up a guide, but
I'm asking for what do you do?
I'm mostly wandering because at this point it's for the quest itself, the quests are very straightforward as far as what you have to do and where you have to go. A few times you'll get tripped up because there are a few paths you didn't know about before.
Yeah.
But if you explore the area that it tells you to go to, and you read the signs that tell you where you are, you will find it. Because it's just the way the game's laid out. Nothing's that hidden. Nothing's that obtuse.
Yeah. Okay.
And the way that the quests work is that you go up to the quest board, you read the quest description, and it pretty much tells you what you have to do and where you need to go. The only one that was slightly convoluted was a quest where it gave you a riddle for a couple of items. But all you had to do was have the items in your inventory. You did not have to pick the item.
Oh, yeah.
So if you grabbed, which is what I did, is because I didn't know that the first time and I grabbed the wrong items, but it never had me select anything. So I said, oh, okay, well, if I just have the right items in my inventory, it will allow me to start selecting which ones. So anything that could be construed as something as part of the rule, I just had in my inventory.
Okay. Yeah, that seems pretty simple.
And that's as obtuse as it got.
Yeah. Okay. That's not too bad. I'm just curious because I'm trying to think of like what was the last like single player game that you finished and then like went and did all this stuff, and maybe like Luigi's Mansion 3, I guess. I don't know if you did everything in that game.
Didn't do. I don't think I did everything in that game.
Yeah. So it's cool. I'm just glad. I'm happy to hear. I was curious what your process was because I've been. I'll talk about them in a little bit, but I've been replaying the Ratchet and Clank games, and I've found
if there was something like obtuse, I would pull up a guide. But the only reason I'm not going to pull up a guide to try and find those lost books is because it's probably something that I thought I might have. If you go and you look through all the books, because it's like 20 or 30, it's just going to be a process of me going through each one and then one by one doing a checklist of each spot.
Yeah, totally.
And it's like, you take a look at the reward, and it's a couple more berries.
Yeah, what's the point?
Like, yeah, it's like it's not a new medal for me to play with. At this point, I don't need to do that anymore.
Yeah, I definitely have that.
I need every fight in the game.
I have that conflict of like, do I want to do it myself and feel like I've earned it, or do I want to just look up a guide? And at that point, should I even do it? Like it's a weird dichotomy there. But yeah. Have you, so are you done with Bug Fables? Have you put it to rest?
Yeah.
Cool.
Apparently there might be a second one.
Ooh.
So I'm kind of stoked for that one.
Yeah, me too. I gotta finish this.
Probably too early.
Yeah, definitely. That's probably pretty far away. There's like 5 people that made that game, I think. But yeah, cool. What else you play?
So that's done. You really need to play that one.
I know. I gotta move it up the list. There's a couple of things coming out soon that I want to play, but yeah, that's moving up. It came out in March.
Other than that, more League.
Okay.
I've switched up what my main position is simply because I've played the other one for too long.
Were you?
I am still way better. I was bot lane.
Bot lane, got it.
Bot lane. I'm way better at it than any of my other roles, which is why it became my main role.
Yeah.
But it's just at a point where one, it's not in a good spot.
Yeah.
So it's a bit of a frustrating lane to play, more so than any other lane in the game.
Yeah.
And then 2 is it's currently stale, on top of it not being in a great spot. And then the third most portion of it is that I've just played it for too long.
Yeah, that'll do
it. There's good news down the pipeline. Apparently there's going to be a big item rework for the next full season where they're trying to introduce more options, which the game kind of desperately needed.
Yeah.
They pulled the card of removing too many items and taking things off them a bit way too hard in the past several seasons. I think the game's taken a pretty big hit for it. And they're looking to kind of fix that up.
Yeah. Would that fix like some of your bot lane issues as well, or do you think it's
It's sounding like it's going to.
okay?
For example, what they're going to end up doing is they're going to streamline and overall nerf uh, universal healing. So basically, there's a pretty big issue right now where all the champions that are good are the ones that can make good use of out of healing stuff. So Rise is a huge healer, which is most of what makes him powerful. It's that he can heal he heals for the damage that he does.
Oh, cool.
So while his Qs hit for 600 a shot, that is, if you want to kill Rise, you have to out damage him, which means that you have to stun him for long enough to kill him.
Yeah.
Put up a few defensive items and a few get out of jail free cards on him. And you get to that point in the game and there's nothing you can do, and most of it's because he has all that healing.
Yeah.
And it's not because he has all that damage.
So it just, I imagine that makes a lot of parts of that very unfun for you.
And he is the prime example of it. Another good example, an example of where this kind of healing belongs would be on Dr. Mundo. He is tanky because he heals. He is tanky for pretty much no other reason.
Okay, yeah.
Right? You have a 12-second, hey, if you do not focus me down immediately, you're not going to kill me button.
Yeah.
Outside of that, he goes down one of the fastest of any of the tanks in the game. And it's just his base stats are dumped on because of his ultimate's that strong.
Yeah. Seems like it doesn't balance out.
And well, it kind of does, because if they put any kind of a buff on him compared to where he's at, he's overplayed because he can just do so well.
Yeah.
His basic character design is something that Riot's not too happy with, and basically it's, if you give him a bit of a buff and all he really has to do is farm decently in lane. Let's say that if the general max is considered 10 CS per minute, he really only has to either keep even with the opponent, or like at the very least to scale against the other people, be at 6.5. So he can be losing his lane under his turret the entire time, but 10 minutes later, you hit 6.5, and you are probably the strongest person in the game.
Yeah, interesting.
Or you're probably at the very least, it would be as if you had gotten 3 kills on any other fighter or bruiser.
Huh.
And started to snowball out of control.
Yeah. Sounds
and
like
it's,
it. Jeez.
It's one of those things where it's, did they pick a Vayne, which is the percent health max damage, the killer, which is what would counter him. Did you pick something like that? No. Well, I guess he has free reign of the game.
Yeah.
And that's basically predicated on him being just a bit stronger in his numbers than they are now. Anyways.
Yeah.
Moving on. I played some Crystal Chronicles today.
Yes. It has finally happened. For the uninitiated, Final Fantasy Crystal Chronicles HD, a lot of weird changes they made to this game because of the multiplayer and it being an old game. So
yeah, because the way that it used to be is there was local multiplayer, but in order for that local multiplayer to work, you had to have the GBA links.
Yes.
You had a Game Boy. You had to have a separate Game Boy Advance controller to link up to the game.
An entirely separate console to use as your controller, and essentially you create a world on a memory card. Like all the characters that you have that could associate with different players would all be from the same town in that memory card, in that world. In this, everyone has to have their own world because it's online, and then you can only play through the dungeons together. But it does kind of neuter some of the cool inter-character, interplay aspects of the game that you got from that original version. But I guess we should have expected as much.
Well, somewhat. It's not like you. It's not like the old. It's not like if you. I'll put it this way: you still have all those character slots for those towns, and you still can make all those jobs for those towns, and those dynamics will still play out. The huge core issue is that it is no longer, those characters are no longer tied to another person.
Yeah.
It sounds a bit strange to say, but it's, as you play as just one character, all of those other characters will have their stories progress year over year.
Yeah.
Which is advantageous to the solo player.
But
the only difference here really is that it's not exactly the same experience as you playing with the same game with 4 friends in a single session.
Yeah. But I mean, I assume like when you play multiplayer, and you played some. I haven't played it yet.
I did.
Do you still get like the little secret objective?
You still get the secret objective.
Cool.
So that is you're the only one who's so I noticed this, but it's a bit silly to do so, just simply because of how much grinding you kind of have to do.
Yeah.
But it makes more sense now than it did before.
Yeah.
Because before, in a 4-man session, it was silly.
Yeah.
It was fun to mess around with, but at the end of the day, it was silly.
Yeah.
Now it's, hold on a second. Are these guys going to screw me over when you hit the artifact screen?
Yeah.
Because they totally can. And it's like, I see what they were going for way back when now.
Yeah, they've found the right amount of chaos for it, because essentially if you do this challenge the best of the other 4 players, you get to choose the artifact at the end. This is like a permanent upgrade, so you get first pick, and it's a big deal when you're playing with 4 people. So like you had brought up to me before we started recording that.
Hold on, I'll put it this way: it's a big deal when you're dealing with randoms.
Yes,
because you could just get into a position where you've run that section 5 or 6 times, but you've just did not perform the function that the game told you to do.
Yeah.
As well as the other people did. So because you never got first pick, and the people that you're playing with are different every time.
Yeah, you're screwed. You're never going to get that one artifact. You're never going to get that additional hard point that you've been trying to get this whole time.
I'm just saying it could take a while. It's not that you'll never get it.
Yeah, it could
and
take
a
while.
It's not like you can't play with the same 4 people. But it because before it's like, well, hold on a second. You cannot pick the same artifact twice.
Yes.
Once you have an artifact, you've unlocked it forever. Every other artifact that goes after it must be a different named artifact. And
yes.
In that way, you cannot infinitely scale your character.
Yes.
At the same time, the game scales pretty hard, so if you're not grinding for those artifacts, you will get screwed over. If you do not beat the game can outscale the artifacts too.
Yeah. I wonder how they would have changed that in this remaster too, because like the thing I was just gonna mention, you can play with random people, which I didn't really realize beforehand. It makes the multiplayer make a little bit more sense to me. But I mean, you played when you played originally at home. I think when I beat the game, I played till like year 9 when I was playing solo, and that seems like pretty reasonable to like play everything, see all the levels, and beat the game, and maybe get the side quests you want to get done. You played to like year 16 or whatever, right? And it broke. You could no longer even do anything, right?
So I gung-ho. I didn't just play it to year 16. I gung-hoed it to year 16.
Oh yeah, so you like skipped a bunch of stuff.
I did not repeat a single level once on my first go through, nice. And you could not beat the first level. You could not beat Riverside. The second time you get one tap by anything. Yeah. And they're year after. Well, it's not year after year, but after set years, the bosses gain new attacks.
Yeah, they'll get dirty, man.
They'll get rough. So, me playing not the Covet, I was playing a Selkie, which I'm still probably going to play.
Yeah, Selkies are the dope.
you did not have a shield to just say, you know what, I'm just gonna guard this attack. It's you have a dodge, which I think a few things can go through the shield. Like I'm pretty sure magic can go through your shield, but your dodge counts as a full invulnerability frame.
Okay.
So like they have their pros and cons, but let me just tell you that the being able to shield the widespread attacks is just way better.
Yeah, it's handy.
I don't like their attack as much, which is why I always played the Selkie. And because the Selkies always have
The charge
Selkies,
range attack.
the range charge attack,
Yeah.
which puts you in a position to not need to use the guard as much.
Yeah, totally.
Because at the very least, on the Malboro boss level, it's like a lifesaver. As he's sucking you in, you can charge his charge shock out and then run back.
Yeah.
Whereas before, it's you have to. You're not doing any damage during that time on any other class.
Yeah, when I played with my friends Josh and Chris, that's what we would do. He would play the Selkie.
I believe.
It was clutch.
Yeah, I believe when you try to charge magic, it just takes way too long. That charge time, especially if you have something that's more, this if you have a second or third level, then yeah, it's the cast time is just way too long.
Yeah, so I'm curious to see how they would change like that late game scaling, because like I know in the trailer they showed there's like palette swap versions of the bosses, and I think they're like challenge versions of them. So maybe like there's an end game you can initiate at some point that like changes the scaling, or maybe they change how the scaling works. I don't know, because I heard that first boss fight I saw like a palette swap version of it, and I don't know the context of that. There's some level of new stuff in this remaster, but I don't know yet. But you played a couple of rando matches. What did you think of it? Did you have fun?
Yeah, it plays good. The loading times are better.
Nice.
At the very least, I remember the loading times being agonizing.
Yeah, they're brutal.
At this point, I think they're 10, 15 seconds.
Nice. All right.
Which...
And that's on Switch.
I would say from 5 to 15 seconds. And when I loaded into one solo, which was on the shorter side, but when you do it the multiplayer, I understand why it's longer.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, we'll try and play, or at the very least we'll grind up characters and then come together and play together. And should be fun. Do you have any other thoughts on it? Let me read.
Yeah, I'm. As far as that goes, I guess we could talk about it later. A few. Apparently, there's some extra content in it.
That's what I was just saying. The palette swap bosses and I don't know what that stuff is. If it's like new levels or maybe like a challenge version of the level, or
I believe there's. Yeah, I believe they said there's just more levels, not just.
New levels would be really cool for that, because there would be new boss fights. The new that Irish lady that comes and says to you at the beginning.
I initially thought that no progress in the multiplayer meant that when you went in on your own character, you gained absolutely nothing at the end of the level.
Yeah, that's what I thought too.
Which isn't.
Yeah,
and it's you only do not get the mer drop. And because you're not running around in the world, you don't get the ambient memories.
Yeah.
Everything else counts. The items you pick up and the artifact you would gain at the end of the level.
Yeah.
Which is...
Now... go ahead.
It's odd, but it makes the most sense.
Yeah.
Because the only other way that I could see them doing it is... everybody creates their own town, and if you wanted to play multiplayer, you had to pick characters at that other person's town.
Yeah, or like a server.
And even then, this wouldn't really allow local multiplayer everywhere. I mean, to be perfectly honest, I honestly think that that whole light version should have been considered to being their GBA controller.
Yeah. You can like come in as somebody else's player.
Like it's allow. I don't think that it would work too well on. Well, actually, no. If you just do it that way, it wouldn't make that much of a difference. If you're just creating a lobby and creating something else for other people to connect to,
Yeah, and they just use
you're
the characters you already made.
you could even do it on the Switch, and the Switch would just be your controller while the other person is just on the screen. Even if it's functionally online, it's technically
Local.
it's
Save
technically
file while it's only local. Yeah. Yeah, see, like there are other ways that they could have made it work.
But
So
at the same time, it's super weird because you could technically still just join into that lobby from like a different house and not be able to see your character.
yeah, totally.
So I mean, at that point, I could take it or leave it.
Yeah, but we'll give it a shot. We'll see how it is. It just came out on Thursday too, so it's not like you just played it today, right?
Yeah, I got it. Yeah, I got it and played it earlier today.
Yeah, I haven't played it at all yet, so we'll see.
I think it feels just like it used to.
Good. There's like a
Which
classicness to it,
There's it's one of those things. It's like I would say it's a little bit like Time Splitters 2. I always knew that it doesn't play great.
Yeah.
I'd say that this probably plays better.
I would say this probably plays better too.
But it's the point isn't for it to be GameCube's Kingdom Hearts.
Yeah.
It's not supposed to be that side of a mashup up. It's more of an RPG style, and it's not even a story focused RPG style thing. It is a world building RPG.
Yeah, totally. And it does a good job of it. It does exactly what it needs to,
I would say it's one of the few ones that actually do that.
Yeah. And
I can't think off the top of my head of another RPG that's just like that.
Yeah. I could not off the top of my head, but yeah. It's also
we can find them. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah. But yeah, in the way that it does, and it's also like, I don't know, it's wholesome in a way. Like I know that's kind of like a trait, like a way to describe it, but there's just like a humility to it. Like you're going out to just keep your town alive. Like you're not you're not the hero of time, right? That's
effectively the only real story of the game, and the rest of it is essentially relatively partially a puzzle and partially a mystery.
Yeah, they make it feel like when you like save the world, like the save everything, like they make it really feel like you kind of stumble into it. That you are trying to stop this miasma and everything, but they don't ever make you out to be like the greatest hero that ever lived and stuff. And they have characters like that in the world that you meet, and terrible things have happened to them. Like the Black Knight is like a super fucked up. It's cool. Yeah, you're right. It's a cool game.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm excited to play.
Hey, you want to say something, Tony?
Did I?
I don't know. I thought noise was coming from your general direction.
Tony was like, "Hey, actually, come here, just dunk on it." No, you're fine.
Sounds like a good time.
Yeah,
it's a good time. I'm not 100% sure that would be your cup of tea.
Yeah, me too.
That's okay.
He's got PGA Tour, man. He's set. He's getting birdies. Or
sometimes
actually,
Eagles.
we're getting Eagles.
We're getting Eagles, son. Anything else you've been playing, Scott?
I want to say that covers it, but I'm pretty sure that for the past several weeks I've touched something that I haven't talked about. But I guess we'll just have to let it ride.
Okay, if you think of it, obviously say something. I played some games, and there's not really anything after this, so we'll just blow through some games and make some bets. So the quick stuff, I've been playing Spelunky. Kind of mentioned earlier, I'm like training for my Spelunky Olympics, and I've played Spelunky 2 before in the past. Thankfully, I know it's very different. So honestly, like me just playing this one over and over again, I'm probably building bad habits. Like in Spelunky, you can blow up the hell lava pools, and then the lava just goes away. In Spelunky 2, when you blow up a lava pool, it like flows wherever you leave it. It's like, oh no, I've made the problem worse. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see going back and forth between those games. But I've just been playing it, beat it a couple more times. I got to 1,993 deaths, so 1993, which is the year I was born. So I was like, this is a good place to stop. I played a little bit of Risk of Rain 2. I just mentioned it to you guys. I thought I'd bring it up on the show, just get some feelings out there. It was on sale on Xbox. It was $8. I couldn't pass it up.
Yeah.
And I know at least a couple people that will be able to play with me, but at some point I will probably get it on PC as well. But just I jumped into it. I'd never really watched anyone play it before, so it was cool. I like the music a lot. I just have the one character.
You might have to at me and stream it the next time.
Yeah. Maybe you can check out, see how I'm doing. I'm sure you give me a lot.
Not you the whole time.
A lot of you just make fun of me the whole time. I had one good run where I got to, I think, the third boss, and that was like my fourth run. So it was like I hadn't even beaten the first boss before, and I got to the third boss.
So are you playing on normal difficulty?
I think I'm playing on easy right now while I'm getting acclimated.
Okay.
So just playing it easy cruising. And it was cool because I'd gotten to the first boss a couple of times before that, like once or maybe twice. But I just wasn't able to beat it. And then like this fourth time that I was doing a run and I got through the boss, it was like a different boss, which I guess I don't know how many options there are for bosses.
There are hundreds of options for bosses.
Okay, I've seen the first boss I've seen.
So let me just break it down to what a boss can be.
Yeah,
a boss can be any major monster. It can be any major monster that's an elite, which there are 6 types of elites.
Okay.
I know there's demon, there's armor, there's ice, there is malachite, and there is invisibility.
Oh.
So I believe I'm missing one, but so the bosses can spawn as any one of those.
Yeah.
So it's very fun when a boss spawns as invisibility or malachite.
Yeah, that sounds terrifying.
Malachite renders you unable to heal.
Ugh.
Stops your HP regen, renders you unable to heal.
That's awful for me.
Awful for anybody who does not pick up a Transcendence, which turns all of your HP into shield.
Oh, wow.
Except for one.
That's kind of cool, actually. So the one I've seen, I've seen it like 5 times, is like the big Beetle Queen or whatever.
Yeah, Beetle Queen is a designated boss. Okay. There's also designated boss ones, but so Beetle Queen is one.
Yeah. I saw a giant jellyfish.
Magma Worm is one.
That was the time where it was different. It was like, what's this
jellyfish? The jellyfish is I would say is more common.
Oh, okay.
Magma Worm's another one. There is the Imp Overlord. There is the Wandering Eye.
I think I've seen the Imp Overlord and the Wandering Eye. I think those are the other 2 I saw.
The Wandering Eye is just a gigantic eye.
Yeah, I think I saw that.
It's a big boy in the sky, and he creates no zones. That's what I like to call them.
Yeah, that's a good descriptor.
don't go in there.
Yeah, those are no zones.
For reference, those zones are effectively anti-gravity wells, I would say.
Yeah, I remember.
They do at the very least, the first time you go through, they're going to be doing a little more than half your health.
Yeah.
And they're going to throw you into the sky. So when you finally land down, if you don't have something that breaks your fall, which on your first run through you probably don't.
Yeah.
Because you probably used your shift trying to get out, and then you failed.
Yep.
And now it's not going to be up by the time you land, and then you'll have 1 HP, and then something's going to hit you again.
Luckily, I that happened to me, and I had like a healing drone or something, and it like got me out of dodge, and I had like really good health regen, because that was like the second boss I fought, and then I beat him, and then I died immediately to the third boss. Like he popped out. I don't even I think it was the imp thing, like you said. I didn't get a good look at him because something exploded and my corpse was flying across the ground.
There's the desert dune things. There's another boss.
Okay, haven't seen those. But it was cool, as this is my first time I played maybe 5 runs. I think I did one more after this like really good run, and it was like abysmally poor.
You will do significantly better the second that you can get off of Commando.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. I just want to unlock one more character. But
When you first get off of Commando, it's like, well, hold on a second. Well, this character's different. Like he's kind of not any better.
mm-hmm.
But once you start understanding how the items work, how they kind of start to play together, it's everything kind of works on Commando, but so it makes them the most likely to not get completely skunked out by a run.
Mm-hmm.
But it's also he doesn't really excel at anything. Like Multi is a master of both extremely long range and at the very least one of the best people at very short range.
Yeah,
Because
I haven't seen anyone that's good at short range yet. So
he has a shift which grants some defense and an extreme amount of speed. At the very least for that game, I'd say it's an extreme amount of speed. It also runs things over. So you can, if it's small enough and you run into it, you'll plow right through it even if it doesn't kill it. So as an escape tool, it's very good.
Yeah, interesting.
He has the only 2 weapons that matter are the ones that you start with, because you'll have options later, which is a railgun, which is goes until it hits something type of range. So if you can hit it across the map, or if you can aim across the map and hit something, you'll hit it. And it's like a sniper rifle, it does a lot of damage.
Cool.
So his second, this is still your left mouse click, your main fire ability. Your second is essentially a minigun. It's very low accuracy, but if you're at short range, your accuracy kind of doesn't matter.
Yeah, so it does a lot of damage really quickly, I imagine.
Right. So what this ends up helping you do is your on-hit items. I wouldn't say your chance on proc on-hit items because they had to nerf those because this was too strong. But it's mostly your healing items proc extremely quickly, faster than it's the fastest healing proc that you can get in the game. So if you have a leeching seed, you will be healing about 40 health per second. 1 leeching seed. You'll have about 800 health. So you get 2 leeching seeds, so on and so forth.
Interesting.
And with about like 4 or 5 of those healing items and a decent chunk of crit, he's pretty much the quickest healer in the game.
Cool.
With that ability.
Now, I'll say I do want to see some of this when I play. I was just I want to give you the little taste, the little. Here's one map.
Yeah.
I played a little.
I'm also not telling you what items.
True. And there's a lot. It seems like there's a lot of items. Like I'm not gonna understand half of them for a while. Because one of the other things I've been playing is Undermine, which I think I like. I'm starting to hit like probably the apex of my relationship with that game. In that like I had one where I was like, okay, I'm gonna try and play through. Undermine does like a very cool thing because it's very like Binding of Isaac for point of reference, right? But it also kind of tries to combine some aspects of Rogue Legacy and Spelunky into it in a very good mesh. I would say it becomes something pretty unique. So when you get to, it's like 1-1, 1-2, up through 1-4, and then there's a boss at the end of that world, and then you go to 2-1. But when you get to the dungeon, which is 2-1, you get a map that lets you kind of access this guy that will fast travel you to the dungeon. But it's not one of those sins where it's like, okay, well, I'm skipping 4 levels, so I'm going to have nothing when I get to the dungeon, which is kind of like how Spelunky works. If you take the shortcuts, which there's not really a point in Spelunky unless you're just trying to see more stuff. But when you fast travel, which you can do from the first stage of any world, you get 2 items like randomly for free. So like if you were to, I've now unlocked all 5 areas. So if I jump to the 5th area, I get 8 items, boom, for free, like right away. All pros, no cons. But there's kind of a trick to it where, so that 1-1, that's where the guy that warps you is. So you can explore all of 1-1, and there's always going to be an item on the first floor of every new area. Sometimes it's locked behind a key, sometimes not. So you could do basically one level, fast travel to the next level, get 2 items. One level, fast travel to the next level, get another 2 items, and so on and so forth. So which is kind of like a staggered way to fast travel through the game. And it's honestly like it's cool that they give you a lot of choice to play this roguelike with. So that way, if you don't really want to just play through the whole fucking game again and see like how good you can get by the end, because it takes a long fucking time, you can kind of do this. You can either just jump right ahead and see how you do, or do this kind of stilted way to play through, which I like. It gives you a ton of stuff, so you feel like you're having a proper run, but without it taking as much time. But I sat down, I was like, I'm going to do a full run, see if I can get to 5-4, which I did get to, or I got to like 5-2 before I died. And just see how it feels. And it's cool going through a whole thing, and there's a lot of downtime to kind of like figure out and plan out moves. There's no timer on the floors, so you don't have to, you can kind of idle and really think things through in times where you're like, I could take one of these 2 potions or things like that. But it like took me an hour and 10 minutes, and I was like, I can only do one of these. Like, it's not like a game where I'm like, I'll do 4 quick runs. I do that really long, thorough run, and then I'm done. So Risk of Rain also kind of scratched me, and those runs are longer too. But it was cool playing both of those and then having kind of similar, like, oh, like this is like a totally different. They're doing new different things with each of these in a way that I like both of them. But that was really it for that. The one of the bigger things I've been playing, but I don't have much to say about it. I've been replaying Batman Arkham Knight. I replayed the Batman games. I talked about it a little bit last week. Really like those games. I was excited about Gotham Knights being announced, and to a lesser extent Suicide Squad, just because I still don't know what the fuck that game is. But I like Rocksteady, you know. So I'm excited for Gotham Knights. I'm excited that that's co-op. I'm excited to run around Gotham with a friend. That sounds fun. And essentially play a whole one of those Batman games with someone could be a really good time. I also, in the replay saga, and then there's one new thing, I just, you know, the Gamescom opening night live was Thursday. There was some cool stuff in it, but one of the things I was excited to see was a demo of Ratchet and Clank, the Void Breakage, whatever the new one's called, the newest Ratchet and Clank game, which I'm very bad with names, so I don't know the subtitle. And you know, it looked great. It was very similar to the demo they showed at the PS5 announcement event, but it was cool to see it. It was, you know, they're saying like it's a continuation of Into the Nexus, which is the one I haven't played, the canonical one I haven't played, and which is a continuation of like the main Ratchet and Clank timeline. So the future trilogy. And I was like, you know, I haven't played those games in like 10 years, which I really haven't. And I've played the first 3 Ratchet and Clank games tons of times. So I was like, let's go through Tools of Destruction, Quest for Booty, and Crack in Time, revisited them. It's been fun going back to them in a similar way, just like what you were talking about, Scott.
Can we go off on a tangent about Ratchet and Clank real quick?
Yeah, please.
Storyline wise, not content wise, but it's what canonically, like, can we get a timeline for all those?
Yeah, so it's not complicated. There's really only one kind of divergence, right? So you have the first 3 Ratchet and Clank games, right? So Ratchet and Clank, Going Commando, Up Your Arsenal, then Deadlocked, and then around, I think, the same time as Deadlock is Secret Agent Clank, and then the PS2, PSP, like, Size Matters, Ratchet and Clank Size Matters. That all they're all same timeline, right? And then jumps to the first Future game, Ratchet and Clank Future Tools of Destruction, then Quest for Booty, then Crack in Time, then Into the Nexus, and then technically All for One and the Tower Defense one just aren't canon. They don't matter. They're just spin-offs. they just are whatever.
I'm sorry, for some reason I was under the impression that a Crack in Time instead of it just being a spin-off, it's just like, hey, a Crack in Time is what allowed this multiverse to happen.
No, it was more a very specific thing of like what happened in Lombax. It was related to the story of that game, which was kind of the culmination of honestly what they had been laying out with everything. The only thing where it gets messy is the remake, Ratchet and Clank 2016 comes out, and that is technically a rebooted timeline. That's its own separate thing. And it combines the story of Ratchet and Clank 1 and 3 into one game. And that is...
What? Not 2?
No, Going Commando gets completely skipped. So they essentially just do Ratchet and Clank 1 and then a little bit, and then Nefarious comes in at the end in a similar way that he does in 3. And that's it. So, like, but that was just like that. They did the remake with the movie, and that's that.
Would any of that stuff kind of matter?
Not really. It basically... The way that reboot ends, it just kind of puts it right back where Ratchet and Clank always is, which is why I like it. It doesn't really fuck with anything. It just kind of condenses the first 3 games into one story. I thought, honestly, that they were going to do that and then kind of basically reboot the franchise and make sequels to that. But that now they are going back to, you know, the future trilogy, Crack in Time, Into the Nexus, like all where that story had gone.
It's not necessarily a reboot, but it's like a different way to experience.
Yeah, it's essentially it's think of it like a remake of the first 3 games, and then you could play the PS3 games, which is like fair. They change a couple of things, but nothing that really matters.
Nothing that might be even referenced in the future games.
No, not at all. Honestly, the only thing you got to know: Ratchet and Clank are best buddies. They save the galaxy all the time. Captain Quark sucks, and Dr. Nefarious is evil. Like, that's really all you got to know.
Captain Quark sucks.
I mean, he's great. He's the best, but he's a terrible hero.
But yeah,
that's.
But I'd be like, isn't he like even aware of that?
Yeah, he
isn't like he.
What I like about A Crack in Time, going back to it, because I beat Tools of Destruction, Quest for Voodoo, they were fine. Crack in Time is like supposedly the best one, and it's been a while since I played it. Quark at the beginning of that game is like, I know I suck, but I'm here, so you know what? We're dealing with it, and I'm like, this is great. I forgot this whole dynamic, and it's really funny, and he's like the best I think he's written in that franchise in that game. So, but yeah, I just been replaying them. It's been cool to go back to them. I'll say like Tools of Destruction was better than I remember it. I remember it being like. It is kind of long in the tooth. It's probably longer than it should be, and it doesn't look as good as I remember it. But obviously, it was that first PS3 game.
It begs the question for all those types of things. Is it a question of it's long because they have extra levels in between the story where you think they might not need them?
What?
Because like levels are good. What's it matter?
Yeah, that's what I found going back to it. It's long, but I had a lot of fun with it throughout the whole time.
Right.
What Tools of Destruction adds is like these kind of areas where you can grind and basically hunt these monsters, and by hunting them you get extra bolts, and you get like sometimes you'll get like an extra item or somewhere in something in certain areas. So it just kind of puffs out certain areas of it, and you don't have to do those things. You could skip them if you wanted to. And I just found myself like having a good time finding all those things, making sure I had plenty of bolts to like always upgrade my armor whenever you could. So yeah, I going back to that game was really good.
Okay, puffed, not stretched.
Yeah, a little puffed, not stretched, not like too long, but like I see why people think this game is too long. There's just a bunch of extra stuff.
Is there a good example of a game that's stretched?
Ooh,
and not puffed.
Stretched and not puffed. I can't think of one off the top of my head, but if I think of one, I'll tell you. Just because I'm trying to remember Ratchet and Clank thoughts as well. I played Quest for Booty, which is like the $15 standalone DLC one. It's crazy. Like that first Tools of Destruction came out in 2007. I was like, do I have the platinum in this game? I don't know if I got the platinum. That was before trophies, so I don't have the platinum in that game because no one does. I've forgotten about that. Quest for Booty honestly was like way more of a bummer going back to than I remember, but you know, it's just kind of simple. There's just not a lot to it. It is cool though because it's from 2009 or 2008, and it's kind of like one of the early attempts at those smaller downloadable versions of games that are essentially like half of all video games now. So it was cool to see like, oh, I see what they did try some different design ideas and structure and things like that here, and it was cool to appreciate from that perspective. It's just like kind of short, and you do like the same thing over and over again. So it's kind of
it's kind of short. It's kind of not that great.
yeah, it's kind of not that great, but it's funny. There's a lot of good humor in that. Kraken Time though, I just started, and it's very good.
Because I remember trying to play Quest for Booty, I was like, I think I might just not like Ratchet and Clank that much. And it's just, just like
fair.
knowing now, it's like that's not.
It's not the best example of Ratchet and Clank.
It's a very bad example of what Ratchet and Clank is, because I would then later pick up,
Kraken Time.
No, Guns. I'm forgetting the name of it now.
Deadlocked?
No. PSP, PlayStation 2.
Oh, Size Matters?
Yeah, there we go. I ended up playing some of that one. I was like, hey, that's pretty good.
Yeah.
But it also wasn't my PSP, so I never finished it.
Yeah, that's also fair. But yeah, it's been a while since it's been probably, like I said, 10 or 11 years since I've played some of them. Like, I don't think the last time I played a Kraken Time might have been 2012. So I don't even like remember anything about it. So I'm excited to play it again and see how I feel about it again and get re-excited for the new Ratchet and Clank coming soon, hopefully. And also I want to play Into the Nexus for the first time because Nabeshin likes it and he said that I owe it to myself to play that. It is a kind of continuation of that story. It's like an epilogue story to Kraken Time.
Yeah, you never played that?
And I've never played it. Yeah, I've totally missed it. It was like a download only PS3 Vita game in 2014.
Yeah, you're very much so.
After the
hey,
PS4.
Can I not have?
Yeah, can you just put that on like the new ones?
Or it's like, can you make that on a disc, please?
Yeah, please. So I played like a little bit of it, and I was like, I want to play the other ones. All I know is the frame rates were real rough in that game, which is a bummer because Ratchet and Clank have always been really solid on that regard. But well, the only other thing I've been playing that I want to talk about that is new, and there's not too much I could say because I don't want to necessarily ruin it for the people out there that do care. But the second and last expansion for Control came out. It's called the AWE, which could stand for Altered World Event, or it could stand for Alan Wake expansion.
It could also just spell all.
It could also just spell all. I think they.
Are there any dots in there?
I mean, you never know.
No, you said it's called AWE, but like, it's A.W.E.
I think it is A.W.E. Yeah, actually abbreviated. I'd have to look at the JPEG of the image. I bet actually that image isn't. So it could be all. Could just be all. Or in all. But honestly, playing it, because I tried to temper my expectations for it. Like the whole pitch of it is Jesse Faden goes into the investigation sector, which is this part of the bureau that was like closed off because there was a fucking monster loose in it. And people kept dying, so they closed it off, they sealed it off, they try to forget about it. Jesse goes in there because she gets like a message, and she's like, I'm gonna clear this place out. So I tried to temper of like, I know that this is going to be heavily influenced by Alan Wake, because it is AWE, because it is referential to that. So I
looked up the trailer thing.
Yeah.
There's no dots. It spells all.
It's all. Okay. Canon, it's all. But so, going in, they joked about Alan Wake expansion, even though it's not the canonical name. But it is like it is very much like, hey, this is all Alan Wake. Like we are going deep into Alan Wake lore immediately. Like the first thing you do is you go to the motel, which is this place you go to a lot throughout the campaign of Control. One of the doors in there has always had the spiral on it, which we know is like the world or the darkness thing that Alan Wake had to deal with in his game. And like you go there immediately, it's like the first thing you do, and then there's like this very, very intense cutscene with Alan Wake where you just see him, he's there, some lore is dropped. They kind of pick up right where they left off at the end of Alan Wake, like the actual game from fucking 11 years ago. and just go for it. And then from the rest of the DLC, you're kind of unraveling what he's been up to. No, what's funny? What happened, Scott?
You're just playing Alan Wake?
No, you don't just play Alan Wake. It would be incredible if they just did that to you. But you're playing as Jesse Faden.
I was about to say, hold on a second. Control.
Yeah, what if you just turned to Alan Wake?
Yeah,
I guess
it's just Alan Wake 2.
Yeah, it's just Alan Wake 2.
They snuck it into a different game.
That would be really great. And to be fair, they do a little. In a lot of ways, Control is that. In how it creates lore and references Alan Wake. But so you're still playing Jesse. You're going, but like the main character that you're like the antagonist of the DLC is a character from Alan Wake, like a pretty major character from that game that we haven't heard about for years. And as you're going through the world, like you're getting notes and things that are essentially like little droplets of information of like here's a timeline of the last 10 years since the Bright Falls AWE Altered World event that was the story events of Alan Wake. Here is what we have found out. Here's what Alan Wake has done. Here is where we think he is. Here's what we think he's up to. And then you get these kind of direct messages that are very much in the style of the manuscript pages from Alan Wake of like he is writing the story of what is happening in this DLC, right? Like Jesse Faden enters the elevator and has a chagrined look on her face, and it's like, okay, this is some Alan Wake shit, and I'm here for it, all the way through to the end. And they even like you fight darkness shit, like you have to hold light up to clear out darkness and beat enemies. It's like everything I could have wanted. I really had a great time with it. The tease that they leave you with at the end of the DLC is exactly what you would want it to be and exactly what I wanted it to be, and now we just wait for hopefully Alan Wake 2 could finally maybe happen. But yeah, it's great. It's like 2.5 hours long. There's a bunch of cool little side quests. I found like there's this whole little secret thing in there. They add a bunch of mods to the game that are like golden mods, and they're unique and uniquely named. So there's one for each gun. I guess there was only one in the original base game, and in this DLC they add one for each gun, and they really changed some of the dynamics of the weapons. There's and to go along with it, they have like this new side quest that leads you to essentially like a horde mode if you want to play it, and also you can do like, or you can replay all the bosses and do like a boss rush, which is cool. So it's cool stuff they added. It's honestly any excuse I have to get back into that world and just start reading notes and shit in that world, I will fucking take, because I love it so much. But all the Alan Wake payoff and all the Alan Wake fan service and setting up what Alan Wake might be doing next, it's all as good as I want it to be. So, but that's it. That's all I've been playing. That's gonna be the show there here, folks. Let's go ahead and throw it out real quick. Just a couple of things. If you'd like to be a part of the show, you can always tweet your questions at IrrationalPod with the hashtag IPQ. Leave us a voicemail at 404-590-1337. Long distance fees do apply. It's funny, I mentioned last week, hey, it'd be fun if we got a voicemail, and we did get a voicemail from a wrong number that was someone who was trying to sell a house. I'm sorry.
Nice.
I'm sorry, person, but you cannot sell your house to us. Mail.
I need the pens. Is it $5? I'll buy it for $5.
Yeah, if it's like cheap and like not terrible, we could make an IP house and all settle up. Mailsack.
To be honest, that would be pretty lit.
At irrationalpatch.com. Yeah, it would be handy. And some other stuff. Rate and review. That comes later. Follow the site on Twitter at IrrationalPod. Follow me, Nabeshin. I'm Alfighter27. He is Nabeshin186 on Twitter. Check out all of our video stuff over on Twitch and YouTube. Just look for Irrational Passions. We'll be live tomorrow, Sundays. The four of us IP hosts just playing games together. Been very fun. And rate and review us wherever you listen. That's where that part comes up. Everything else is on.
Follow Nabeshin on Twitch.
Yeah, follow Nabeshin on Twitch.
Actually, no, I take that back. Don't, because I really like it when I go in and it's just me.
It's
and him
just you and him. And yeah, I have those same moments, Tony, and I understand. We're like, I have your undivided attention.
Yeah, dude. Nabeshin and I talked about Mass Effect 2 for like 2 hours today. It was awesome.
Nice. Yeah, he does Sonic streams, but if Tony's in there, you have to leave. That's their one-on-one time.
True.
Everything else, irrationalpatch.com. We've reached the end of the show. It's time for bets. Tony, do you want to get in on last week's bet real quick?
Sure. What was it?
How in Final Fantasy Crystal Chronicles HD, how many types of hair will there be for the human female class?
12.
Okay. All right. So before we get to that, though, this week's bets. This is a little. Listen, they can't all be. They can't all be bangers. Have you guys heard of this game called what's it called, Spellbreak? This wizard game.
Yeah. I played it a while ago.
Yeah. What did you think of it?
Needed more development when I played it. But
Sure.
It was all right. Concept was neat.
Yeah, it seems cool. I'm gonna give it a try. It comes out next week.
Yeah, when I played it was early alpha.
Got it.
So it makes sense. That's why I specifically said
Yeah.
I wasn't saying that it was bad. It needed more development.
Yeah, it was a while ago for sure. This week's bet is how many words will be in the most relevant launch tweet from September 4th from the Play Spellbreak account when the game comes out, and how many emojis. So how many words and how many emojis? Because I looked into this. Originally, it was just going to be how many words, but I looked at their Twitter. I'm like, these guys use a lot of emojis.
So hold on a second.
Yeah.
Hold on a second. So the bet is, what is their tweet going to be?
So they're gonna have a tweet when the game goes live.
Right.
I'm going to pull this tweet. How many words will be in that tweet, and how many emojis will be in that tweet? Two separate numbers. Whoever's closest wins.
Okay. 15 words,
Okay.
5 emojis.
See, I like that. What do you got?
10 and 0.
10 and 0. I was going to say 20 and 5.
10 is an odd one, maybe.
Like, happy it's live. Go check it out. Link to the Steam page here. Wishlist now. Like, that's 10 words. You said 10 and how many emojis, Tony?
0.
0. Good. You got to work 0 into there every time. Last week's bets. In Final Fantasy Crystal Chronicles HD, how many types of hair will there be for the human-female class? I said 16. Nabeshin said 6. Scott said 8. Tony, you said 12.
It's 5.
It's 5. Yeah, the actual number is 5.
I was figured it would either be like 4 rows of 4 or like one somewhere between 1 and 6.
Yeah, I think they added 2. Because they said they were adding some, so I wasn't really sure what it would look like at the end. I think they added 2. So,
Well, I think they actually just added 1 for every variation.
it might be 1, yeah.
Because it's looking at it now, it makes it. I'm pretty sure that it was just
the 4.
you had 4 options for every person.
Yeah, now there's like a 5th one. Yeah.
Now there's a 5th one.
So that brings the team totals. I'm still rocking hard at 3 points. Nabeshin is now at 10 points because Nabeshin won the bets. Scott is at 7. Tony is at 8. Scott caught up while you were away, Tony. He's like on your coattails, man. Guys, I like my chances. I'm feeling really good. I have to win like 8 weeks in a row. I don't know, man. I'm normally way better.
You gotta start just being right.
Yeah,
True.
I gotta just be better.
You just gotta be more right.
I just gotta be more correct all the time. That's the show, everybody. Thanks for hanging out. We love you very much. Thanks to the folks jumping in and out of the chat. The only thing I want to shout out from the chat real quick, Scott White popped in and said he believes there were 13 new dungeons in Final Fantasy Crystal Chronicles HD, which is a lot. That's a significant.
If you were trying to speed run that game,
yeah,
they just doubled the content.
Yeah, you might have just doubled the whole ass game. We're gonna have to look into this, Scott. If there's 13 new levels that are good, like we should check these out.
Yeah, I mean, like at this point, okay, no, I kind of do want to say, hey, your town over there, you're not a lot of progress without the rest of us.
Yeah,
Take a strong arm down to somebody.
Exactly.
I mean, shit, I'll do it.
But we'll look into it. Hopefully we'll report back next week. But yeah, that's the show. Thanks all to Danny Wiesner for opening music of 2-Player Co-op, closing music of The World Is Saved. Thank you, Scott. Thank you, Tony, for joining me as always. Love you, boys. Big hugs all the way around. Nabeshin, wherever you are, stay beautiful. Hopefully everything's all right. We love you too. We'll see you tomorrow. Play games with y'all tomorrow. And everyone out there, be good to each other. I know it's tough. It's not getting any easier, I think, but we're all in this together, so stay posy. We love you very much. Play your game. Stay rational. We'll talk to you all next week.
I don't think there are titles, are there?
There are titles. I've been writing titles.
I couldn't find the doc, so I just
Oh,
assumed there
sorry.
wasn't one.
I can drop it. There you go.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so we got Nothing Personal Kid, Phantom Airplane Beeping, Tossing Down 18 Holes, We Recommend Persona to You, and actually, we're getting Eagles, son.
I like
I feel like all 5 of these are things I said.
You said some good stuff. Tossing down 18 holes was you, and actually, we're getting Eagles' son is obviously you, and Nothing Personal Kid is you. Yeah, this is a big Tony episode. Well, we missed you. I missed you last week. I can't speak for Scott.
I saw him anyway.
Yeah, you saw him.
I didn't actually miss him last week.
Yeah, you saw him. So I missed you on the podcast last week. What do you like, Scott?
Nothing Personal Kid.
I'm gonna be honest. I'm very privy to tossing down 18 holes.
All right with that.
All right, cool.
All right, I'm out of it.
I'll say the number. Tony, you want to say the title?
Sure.
You're listening to the Irrational Passions Podcast, episode 479.
Tossing down 18 holes.
Golfing.
I love your third part so much, Scott. Thank you, everybody, for watching. Have a good night. We love y'all. Boop, boo, doo. Good show.